Hi everybody, Dwight McGee here for another fun-filled, action-packed 18th century video. Today we're going to touch on fire implements and cooking over top of the fires in the 18th century. Got a wide array of things today. Alright, first of all, you're in the wilderness, you want to hang your pot over top of a fire because you don't want to put your pot in the fire. You'll go out and find yourself a nice stick with a crotch in it. You take, and for time's sake I already did it, you take your tomahawk and you make it sharp on one end. So you can take and stick it in the ground. How well that's going to work today, seeing as how the ground is semi-frozen. Stick it in the ground. Get your larger stick that you want to hold the bail on your pot with. You stick it in the ground on the other side, and then you can hang your pot off at the end of the stick. Now, of course, it all depends on how big your fire is compared to how big you're going to make your sticks. As it sits right now, it'd take quite a while to boil any water in this. But if I shorten the sticks up, get it a lot closer to the fire, and you would be able to cook from it. Or heat up fire, whatever you're doing. Alright, next we're going to get into another simple implement called the squirrel fork. Now the squirrel fork is a piece of steel that's bent at a 45 degree at the top. Now you want to heat it up and bend it around. I mean, this is kind of fancier. Bend it around so you have something that looks like this. Of course, I take and I make everything sharp on one end. It's easier to pound into the ground. And on the other end, which we will call a spit, because that's pretty much what it is, it's a spit. You're going to hang your wild game or whatever or whatever you got off this end over top of the fire so it cooks. The way this works is you stick your spit through the hole such as this until it's at the end, like that, okay? And the weight of your meal that's going to cook is on the end of the spit. And you stick it in the ground over top of the fire, and therefore you have a cooking utensil. Perfect. I imagine you could probably take, and if you want to hang a pot over a small bed of coals, you could take and do the same exact thing. But if this end was a little bit more of a drastic hook, it would still work if you reverse your spit. And then you could hang your mucket over top of the fire by the bail. So, neat little utensils, and these are period correct. All right. Now, we're going to go on to the larger set. As you can see, I have two of these, and this can be used two different ways. The two of them are bent like this as a hook, almost like a backwards hook, I suppose. And this end here is rounded, because what we're going to do is we're going to put these through and make a tripod. Swing this one around, and we have a pretty steady tripod here, and that'll hold quite a bit of weight. Now, it's very common to use a chain with a hook at the end. Now, this was hand forged. You can see where all the joints are and where all the welds are, and it's a hand forged hook. Masterful piece. This is an original piece. We would use an S hook such as this. I mean, you don't have to. You can wrap the chain around it, but I like to use an S-hook to give it more stability. Now you run your S-hook through, such as this, and you can hang your S-hook or hang your chain off the S-hook over top of the fire. And you can hang Dutch ovens off of this. You can hang your mucket, whatever you want to hang, because it will hold quite a bit of weight. It's pretty darn sturdy. Okay, that being said, this can also be used another way. Now you see these examples here, this type was used all the way up through and past the Civil War as well. I mean, they're even used now in people's backyards. If they desire, you can still purchase all these if you want. But I made all these in my blacksmith shop. Okay, I take the two with the crooks, one on each side of the fire, and I have my centerpiece here. Lay it right over the top, so I have a bar across the top. Can hang my chain down over top of the fire. Of course, the chain, I believe I said earlier, is fully adjustable depending on what link you want to use and how close you want your pot or your Dutch oven to the fire. Now we also have a trammel. The trammel will hang from the fire such as this, or hang from your fire set such as this. Now I'll show you how this is made. This is fairly simple as well. A lot of the ones, I do have a few in the shop that are very, very heavy duty pieces, and I use them at my forges. This is a piece of flat steel, okay? It's bent at a 90-degree angle on one end, and we run down to the other end and we make the hook. And there are a series of holes down along the piece of flat stock, and there's a hole on the bottom. The reason for this is you take your bent end here, of course you have a hook on the other end to hang your pot. You take the bent end, put it through the hole on the bottom, run it up through, and you put it in a little hole that's either punched or drilled here. Now this is kind of neat because you can raise or lower your pots according to the height of your fire, according to the height of your fire set. And all it does is hang there over your fire. Now, this is a little bit larger than I would use for a regular encampment because obviously my fire set's only what, 3 foot high after it's pounded into the ground, even with the tripod in use. Okay. Get that out of the way. And now we're going to move on to something a little different. I'm going to go for trivets. Now a trivet, there are documented examples of this. This is an old barrel band. The bands that go around the wooden barrels and casks. This has been bent up almost in like a circle. Bend it around. You've got a little handle on here, and you can set that right in the coals of your fire. And what it does is it keeps your pot up off of the burning coals itself, such as that. It'll sit right on there. And a little treat for today. Thank you, Mr. Timothy Bailey from Bailey's Antiques. We have an original 18th century trivet. Now the real neat thing about this is the arm for the handle on your pan is fully adjustable back and forth. The blacksmith who made this, all he did was he split a piece of stock and he ran one side out this way, one side out this way, so you have like a little arm that's in a Y shape kind of, and the handle for your pan won't move back and forth too far. And he did the same for the bottom. He split it and ran it around the arm on the trivet. Now this one's pretty neat. I love this thing. 3 legs, obviously 2 are forged or riveted to the iron ring, and they have the little nubs that come in, the little fingers that reach in. Now they're for the smaller pots, so you can use smaller pots or larger pots with this trivet. And you have your 3rd leg, of course, which is also riveted in with a finger that goes in the fire. Yeah, don't put your feet in the fire like I do. Now this keeps your pan up off of the coals. This is a little high right now, but if I had a nice bed of coals, I could take my pan and set it down over top, and it sits right on the trivet. And it holds it pretty flat. So therefore I don't have to worry about burning my pan out by setting it directly on the coals and directly on the fire. And as you can see, it's actually heating the pan up quite quickly. So there we have it. We have the trivets. We have the fire set, which can be used 2 different ways. And we have our wonderful little squirrel fork. I highly recommend these. These are cool. And you can cook just about anything over the fire. So, all right, folks. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see what I can get us into next time. Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon and a great week